And so the way that we're going to do this next part is we're going to start in one place, and then we're just going to do a round robin of questions. We won't have all 12 people answer every question, or we'll be here through dinner. But nevertheless, okay, so we're going to start with Mr. Quayle, all right? And then we'll work our way around. And you just have 1 minute to answer the questions. So make sure you keep an eye on Mary for when she says stop. All right. Okay, Mr. Quayle, do you have the microphone?
No.
Pass the microphone, and then we'll go right down and come back, and we'll keep going.
I have the
Okay.
microphone.
Mr. Quayle, the question is, how will you address the lack of tribal member employment at the casino?
That is a very good question. How do you do that?
That's the
And the
question.
best way we do is to advertise for the position. Advertise, advertise. And people respond to it. Respond. I was there at the casino, worked in the casino, involved. I would see the applications. I was in HR at the time, and I would see applications come in. I'd see 50 applications and one tribal member. Not good, because nobody wants to work at the casino. At that time, and maybe it still is, it sounds like it, because of the question is out there now, what do we do? I can't tell you to go out and educate yourself, because a casino really doesn't need an educated person there unless you're in the upper administration. Anybody can clean the machine. I can clean the machines. Anybody can clean the floor, and it's all nighttime jobs. You got to be there at night, midnight on. It's what works the best for doing these cleaning jobs. It's not a day job.
Okay.
Work.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Hood, as a resident of Tax Credit 6, one of our audience members has experienced low water pressure and no water. Why is the large water tank just sitting there getting rusty? Why hasn't the tribe fixed the water tank?
Well, that's way beyond my capability. I don't have a good answer for that. I think maybe, I don't know who's responsible for those tanks over there. Maybe they need to go there and check the pressure, check the pressure lines. There's ways of going into the water lines, and you can use some type of camera field to see if there's any blockage there. Clean that all. But I'm not aware of that.
Are you currently on council?
No.
Okay, is there anyone who is currently on council that might want to answer that question? Okay, here we go. Why don't you take this?
Okay, so basically, we have sewer and water infrastructure needs. So the water tank was purchased through a with a loan. Okay, so the tribe acquired it with a loan. With that loan, certain infrastructures were to be maintained and upgraded. So the reason why the water tank number 2 is not placed in service, it's been empty ever since we purchased it, is because it needs painting. Someone needs to go inside and, like a diver, and clean it out, make sure it is able to have water in it. So it needs a service agreement. Thank you.
Do you have an answer for that?
No, I do, all due respect, I think that each individual question should be for that individual.
I know, I understand, except that's not.
I think you kind of
I have an answer.
messed up here.
Yes,
We were all going for the chairman or vice chairman.
yes,
And yeah, maybe a council member may have more knowledge
understood,
because they've dealt with this.
understood.
And the other people don't have that knowledge.
That's a very fair point.
Because
So,
the council isn't transparent, so they don't tell us everything.
okay, so we'll just continue, okay? That seemed like a really important question when someone that doesn't have water. Okay, so we'll move on to Mr. Huey. Describe the types of advocacy that you have done to help your people that resulted in a positive outcome.
Well, there's a lot. Since 2002, I've been in law enforcement, so that's a public service job that primarily is responsible for protecting those who either can't, need protected, are victims of a crime. So through my law enforcement capability, you know, I've prosecuted both in tribal court, state court, and federal court for victims that have been involved in major crimes, sexual assaults, domestic violence. You know, that's my job. As a individual, I volunteer my time as well for youth. I coach lots of youth sports, baseball, softball, soccer, even though I'm not a big fan of soccer, I've coached it. So advocacy for the people as far as personal projects I've done, volunteering in the community, being on council and working. Advocacy's, you know, I don't have time to volunteer all the time because I still have a family and a wife and 5 kids at home. So it's a lot of it's done through my profession, you know, which I love to do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it for so long. So thank you.
Ms. Pamateo. The question here says, I've been a victim of crime due to home invasions and burglaries, and drugs and alcohol continue to be a problem. What will you do to address the drugs and alcohol problem?
I should have got that question.
As a chairperson, it would be my duty and responsibility to bring it before tribal council. And we all know that the legislative are the branch that makes the decisions, and we vote on it as a body. But as an individual and as a former law enforcement officer, I really find it very distressing that, you know, we can't get a hold of this constant knowing that it's in our community and nobody knows what to do with it. First, it's to bring to your council. As an individual, if you're concerned about these things, bring it and voice it to your council. You have plenty of support out there of tribal members, but also it's a responsibility of the council to come down on the chief of police for his officers. They should make it a top priority. That's the proper protocol within the government. And if you're not satisfied, start yelling. I mean, that's the only thing that you can do, is constantly bringing that and bringing those important issues before everybody until something is done.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Jackson, as a tribal member with a family, I've been homeless for the last 2 years. I've been told by the housing manager that I'm #1 on the waiting list and #3 on the waiting list. And I see many individuals who are living in the homes who are not tribal members. What will you do to address the homeless issue?
I think we need to follow the procedures of it. I know there's a lot of people that are one person and they live in a 3-bedroom house, and that's because they were next on the list. We need to revise the list. We need to work with housing and revamp that whole housing procedure. And there's also people that want to move back to the reservation, and they say, well, you need to live here a year before you become enrolled. And they say, okay, I want to move back, and there's no housing to move back from. You know, and that housing really needs to, as vice chairman, you really need to get in there and look at how exactly they're doing. You know, they used to have a list, maybe they need 3 lists or another list, or, you know, what's the most immediate concern that somebody has, you know, if you have, and why can't we have apartments, you know, where there's emergencies, when people are living on the street, and they can be put into that. We don't have to build houses, you know, we can build multiple residences in, you know, and as an apartment, and we can buy off the reservation. We're not stuck to the reservation where we can get equity in the houses so that what you buy today is worth more tomorrow, and we'll own it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Lewis, would you support keeping drug dealers and sex trafficking and cartels banished from the reservation, and how would you do it even if it was a relative?
Yes, it's important to protect our people, so that, yes. It doesn't matter if it's your family or not, the laws are the laws. Policies are policies, they are to be upheld and followed. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Marquez. As a tribal member, we've been promised that our per capita will increase. Describe how our per capita will increase if you get into office.
This is a really good question because the Arizona Compact is going to be coming up. And with that compact is the reason why we get per capita. Per capita can't be taken away. But the per capita depends on the revenue that we get from the casino. And what the casino determines how much we receive, just like the Christmas bonuses. That's from the taxes that we receive from all the enterprises that are around us. And the way we can get more per capita is with good marketing strategies. Strategies to go out there on social media, strategies to get the younger and older ones down here, entertainment where everyone would come. Yes, we try, and in order to try, you have to spend. In order to spend, of course, you're going to be in debt to start off with, but that's the way you make money too, is by good marketing strategies.
Thank you. Ms. Shirley, are you in agreement that the number of council members should be limited to 5, including the chair and vice chair?
This one's a really tough question. As I served on the Constitution Committee, we had passed out a survey regarding the legislature on how many council members should sit on the council. A part of that was also removing the legislature and the executive, keeping them separate, because our Constitution does state that we do have 3 separate branches. And by allowing the chair and the vice to continue to sit on the council, we overlap that. But our Constitution still defines that the chair and the vice do sit on the council. So I would agree with lowering the amount of council members to serve our people. If we have all 9 people serving our people, but they're not doing the job that they're equipped to do, but we have a select few that can do that job to the best of their ability, then yes, I would support that.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Dotsey, does tribal council have a little too much say in regards to their own salaries? And do you believe tribal members not serving on the council should be the ones who should have the say? Because don't forget, the only reason you're on council is because of tribal members' trust. Is the microphone in the area? Thank you.
Okay, so this question always comes up at the community meetings that we have on Tuesday meetings in the evening. And so the salary should be up to the people. You should become more involved in your government and be part of the process. Because how the budget works is the tribal council gets together, right? And we work on the numbers. So previously, the previous council, they are the individuals that incorporated the $60,000 salary for the council. So that's how much the salary is for 2019, and it goes way back before I got in. The travel and training expenses this year is $4,500. And for council, we have to purchase our own supplies and no food. So the salary currently has been done by resolution. And if I had the numbers before me, I would give those to you. So that's my answer. Thank you.
Mr. Beauty, where do you stand on alternative choice of education for K-12? For example, private schools, military private school, Christian private schools, to name a few. By helping the tribal family with the cost, with accountability from the students and family, meaning the parents, to help the young children get the best education possible.
I think that the tribe has a limited source of money, and that if kids or families want to send their kids to other private schools or other education, I think that the tribe can't just pay for one person $50,000 to go to one school and pay $500 for one kid to go to the public school. I think that's unfair. And we would have to look at what is a medium that we could help support some of the kids that go to different schools. So, you know, the parent, you know, if they want their kids to go there, they're going to have to get involved and help with payment.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Hood. Language and culture is what gives us our sovereignty. If elected, how and what would you do to enhance that so we never lose our sovereignty?
So this kind of relates to education. One of the things that we do have is a Montessori school in the Yavapai-Apache Nation. It only goes to a certain age, and after that, they go to public school. There are schools in New Mexico that do implement language and culture in their Montessori, and that would be amazing to see. And it also goes into the question is, we wouldn't be funding our outside schools. We would be having our Native children know the culture, the history, and learn math, English, but learn it in an innovative way. I think that would be amazing to innovate and have those practices in our own Montessori school. I know that they do some stuff, but they don't work with, they work the culture, but they don't work as they could. And those laws can be developed with the legislation, developing a school, and we can also file for grants for infrastructure, for internet, because we do have a school. These are all these things that we can incorporate in our nation to make it great. And it would be amazing to see our kids speak the language and know the culture.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, how do you feel about the young students having such low STEM scores? And what would you do to drastically improve those basic scores to help the young students become successful tribal citizens? Science, technology.
I believe that besides just close monitoring of their academics is important. Finding the help that they need, establishing something more than just JOM is where the help is. One-on-one, just having more, a deeper program for the children.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Quayle, how would you address the disparity in wages of hourly employees and salaried employees?
Years ago, that was a question posed by the people, and the answer still is, we had a company that came into our government, looked at the salaries of all programs, and we established our own programs, and that is what kept us at our salary rate then. Now we can do exactly the same, call in people, let them research our wages to see if they match at least the outside entity wages. That's how you increase your salaries, not just by how good the person looks or feels or whether the job grew bigger. That's not always the way to do it. You need to see what other companies out there do when they get more employees. The answer is just not give them a raise. If they got more job duty, give them a raise. Increase function in any business is always there. So we need to do that. That'll help us.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Hood, what will you do to help tribal members who live off the reservation? You're getting all the easy ones.
I'm getting all the easy ones, right? Yeah, I lived off the reservation for 18 years and never asked for any help from the nation except for a few times. But the issue here, I think, is that when we do the budget for the year, outside reservation tribal members are not included in that budget. So there's no money set aside except for maybe funerals and services or some other stuff. But their needs are about the same. tribal members. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier, that the casino, if the casino don't make any more money, we can't have money to go redistributing out to the tribal members. There's ways to do it, and depending on the needs of these individuals who live off the reservation. I know years past when the casino was making money and the tribe had money, they would rehab homes off the reservation. That was years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And they stopped that because of no money.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Huey, do you know what a financial statement is? And if so, please describe your knowledge.
So a financial statement can be broken down usually by month, weeks, gives an overview generally of the funds that you've expensed, that you haven't expensed, gives you usually line items on the breakdown of each individual, whether it be, well, not so much food these days, but salaries and wages, benefits, operating costs. All those line items then break down into some numbers which either, shows a balance, what you approved them for in your budget, and the resulting number. And you got to take a look at those depending on where we are at, for the directors every year, first quarter, second quarter, third, and fourth. You got to decide within whether you're in the parameters or you're spending too much money. If I'm spending too much money in training my financial statement, then somehow we got to reduce, that outcome. Because you're not going to make it through the end of the year. It's going to be in the red, which is the parentheses in the statement. You don't want to be there because then you're going to have council yelling at you while you're overspending your money. So financial statements I've experienced, both personally and, through my job, have been, made in that fashion. We get them every month, have to review them every month, just to make sure you stay on track. On a bigger level, I'm sure the numbers are a lot larger for the whole tribal council, or the whole, general fund, but my department's is pretty large, so we it's a numbers game, but it's broken down really well.
Great, thank you. Ms. Apache, the nation provides health benefits for employees that work for the tribal government and the casino. How will you address the rising costs of medical benefits?
Well, not really working within the HR department or knowing the statistics of everything. I would have to rely on the information if I was on council of what would come before me, and then I would have to make a decision on whatever.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, what is your position on tribal council members working for other tribes while they're on the tribal council?
Working for other tribes?
That's the question. It says, what is your position on tribal council members working for other tribes while they are on council?
I didn't think that was allowed. I thought you had to give up your job if you're going to run for council. But anyway, I think if you're on a tribal council, you should put all your energies and knowledge to this tribe. This is our tribe. We can't be working for other tribes, or if not even for yourself off the reservation. You should be working. That's why you run for council, to improve our tribe, to work for our tribe, to better our tribe. I don't think you should do that. What's your commitment to this tribe or to yourself? Gaining monetary gains just for yourself. You should commit to this tribe if you're on the council.
Thank you for your position. Okay, Ms. Lewis, describe your knowledge of tax credit housing.
Tax credit housing? Can you hear me?
Yes, you just have to hold it straight.
Okay. With tax credit housing, my knowledge with that is currently we are going into our 7th tax credit housing. We are wrapping up our first tax credit housing, which is on Wiki Way in our Middle Verde community. We're coming up to the 15th year on that, which the council is working on policy to transition those homes from the investor to the homeowners. Generally, what the tax credit is investors off the reservations. They come and they have each tribe throughout the state of Arizona, or any tribe, has an opportunity to apply for these fundings, which is millions of dollars. However, what comes along with the tax credit is you also have guidelines you have to abide by. There's also laws that need to be implemented when you accept the money, should your tribe be chosen. And that's currently what we do. Some of them We also have to have parks for our children, which we see in our communities today. We also have to have drug and law enforcement in these homes, which some of us have those which some of us in those tax credit homes must abide by as well. And there's also an option for the investor to buy out early, which has occurred this year as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marquez. Other than tax credits, what other housing options are available for the tribe that are better suited perhaps to the tribe?
I understand the grants that we currently receive were low-income housing, and that was one of the biggest things. What about the people that are having a job, making that money, wanting to be self-sufficient? The thing is, we can start building apartments for individuals that are single, and I know it was mentioned earlier, you have individuals that are like in a 3-bedroom house. It's not that things were done wrong at that time. It's just that things have changed, and we have to look at it in a different perspective, but we can't change it unless it's brought to the council on that part, because then if we tell them to come to us, then they might be thinking we're micromanaging, and that's not what we're about. We're about helping the people out, helping and making different choices where we can get funding to provide houses, like from the tax credits, the taxes we receive from the different economics that's going around, or even having the different economics security. We have a main place right here, the C-store. That's a hot spot. We have another place below the casino right there in the lodge. There's supposed to be 2 different manifests that are built. Why haven't we started? We don't have to start real big. We can start small and make some kind of more money and build houses that way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Shirley. What is your knowledge of Drake Cement, and why is this important to our nation?
So I don't have a very vast knowledge of Drake Cement. I do know that it was purchased by the nation, and I think I think my knowledge is kind of the same as everyone. I don't know much about it, and that's really a shame, especially if it's supposed to be an enterprise that we have invested in to make money for our nation. I think that's just kind of it. I think if we go forward with any more kind of economic development, the people should really be involved in making those decisions, and that includes a strategic plan. Where is Drake Cement at in our strategic plan as a nation as we move forward? One of the things I had addressed was, what do we want to be in 20 to 30 years from now, and is Drake Cement offering any kind of fiscal anything for us, any kind of financial responsibilities that we have. So I just think that, whatever it is that we plan to invest in the future, that we should be knowledgeable about it, not just as a council member or a part of the executive board, but as tribal members as well.
Thank you. Ms. Dotsie, how will you battle the cycle of children in the foster care system?
That starts with adhering to the Children and Families Code. The Children and Families Code has a provision that when there's a child taken from a home, they have to search for relatives such as grandparents, extended family members first to take that child in. That's part of the federal Indian law, ICWA. So how I would implement that is to ensure that we have a lot more foster care families within our nation. We need to create more safe homes for our children so that they stay on the reservation and not off the reservation. And if they are placed off the reservation, they need to be with families, their own families. A lot of our children have, their parents' rights have been terminated. And so that's a very important issue to me. We should all adhere to our laws. It's in the Children and Families Code. It's a federal law. So that needs to be adhered to, but we need to create more foster care homes within our nation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Beauty, tribal members who do not have a driver's license can be employed with the tribe, even though a position may not require driving. Is this fair, and what would you do about it?
So I just recently had this conversation with security card, they can't get a birth certificate. I think that, maybe social services should take that on, is that they could help these tribal members get those things, whether it be if they had DUIs or something, they could start doing counseling. Find out where you're at. Do you need counseling? Do you need this? Do you need that? What are the things that you need to do to get those things back? So what I would do in the tribe is that there are jobs that don't require driving, so I would have to take another look at that, or take a look at that and find out what these jobs are, and if we can and are able to employ the tribal members that don't have a license.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Hood, the tribal housing policy was changed in 2011 to include non-tribal and non-natives in the priority list. Should this be changed to give priority to tribal members? What would you do about it?
So that question is, it's not that they don't give them to non-tribal members and non-tribal citizens. It's the children that are within the homes are tribal citizens of this nation. So that's a tough question. There's pros and cons in regards to it because our laws don't allow us to prosecute non-tribal citizens only in civil matters, only on certain civil matters. And that is the legislation would have to implement certain laws. I think one of them is VAWA, Violence Against Women's Act, and it's under reauthorization, which allows the tribal government to prosecute non-tribal citizens. The thing of how I feel personally about it is I do not want our children to be off the reservations and learn from other, they need to come back to our nation, know the culture, know the history, and to remove a child from their home that they will receive when they turn 18. I see the concerns in regards to have non-tribal citizens in our nation because, as I said, we can't prosecute them. We can't, they bring in the drugs, possibly they bring it, we would have to look at individual homes. They bring in their problems, and we can't prosecute them. I think that's a huge problem with it. I mean, that is the con, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Jackson, describe how you would select or how you select a contractor for a project and what type of oversight there should be.
First of all, you need to know what you're needing, and then look at them. It's an assessment with anything else. You need to break it down and see if it's cost effective. I believe in our own tribe. We have many tribal members who have been in infrastructure. I think that it's important to talk to them to see where they want to go with their type of work, to see if they need any certification, and I believe in keeping it within our tribe.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Quayle, what does the Yavapai-Apache Nation Constitution mean to you?
Thank you for that question. Having wrote the Constitution that we live under now, it means a lot. I follow the Constitution because I helped write it. It says a lot about what we should be doing with ourselves, with our people, with our land, with education, with the courts. We need to follow it. We need to follow it. We advance ourselves if that's done. We take issues and try to misinterpret them. It doesn't work well with us. It doesn't work. We stall in what we should be doing. So the Constitution is a very important document. It describes this tribe. It's a reason we got a reservation. It's a reason we get funding from the state and federal grants for us. Very important. And it's a place for us to keep well. This is our home for our children, our grandchildren. We need to take care of it. Through the Constitution, it speaks of that. That's very important for me.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hood, would you support a constitutional change of the 10-mile perimeter and do away with that so we could have better qualified and
were familiar with the tribal problems, the issues within the tribe. I believe it's still a good clause in the Constitution. Because I think people that live off the reservation, if you open it up, you can have somebody living in, I suppose, maybe France or something. How would they know anything about this nation? You know, how do they know what a Yavapai or Apache is? So I don't know. There's got to be a clause there stipulating that this limit, and I'm in favor of it, and I think like I said, it goes back to individuals who are running for council should know something about this nation, and without that knowledge, they shouldn't be in office.
Thank you. Mr. Ewing, how will you address our educational needs of our children, specifically with poor teacher and administrative relationships with students and parents?
The Tribal Council currently meets annually with most of the schools within the districts that the tribe's children serve, Cottonwood, Camp Birdie. Those meetings are really important. I think they should happen a lot more because a lot of times misinformation gets shared between the school faculty and the tribe itself. Those meetings are very important. Maybe even have people sit on those boards specifically from the Tribal Council to share that information. My involvement in dealing with that is making sure that we, in law enforcement, had a school resource officer in the school system so we could deal more strictly with tribal member children that we serve. So that way they could have a good experience with law enforcement, plus, learn something from them. A lot of it comes back on the parents too. You got to give the parents availability to also be able to attend those meetings and make that open communication with the schools. I've been to a lot of meetings and there's been lack of parent responsibility, honestly. I can make all these things, but unless the parents step up and actually be involved.
We need to express and stand on that sovereignty of informing the courts through when judges come before the council, that they must not, they can refer to state court law, but they have to stand on federal and other tribes' law if your own tribe does not have a law to cover that. And that's where we've gone wrong. Those are things that really need to be tightened up and strengthened on, and it takes a strong council that does know Indian law, tribal law, federal law, even state law. Because if you're making decisions on behalf of the people, and this is where we go wrong, because a lot of your judges are non-Indian judges, and I'm talking about the chief judge positions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, these are now questions basically for those of you that are running for chair. So is there a microphone along this side of it? Okay, why don't we start with you, Ms. Pavati, and we're going to go right down the line with each question, and you have 30 seconds to answer, okay? So we'll just keep going back and forth on the chair side. How will you deal with nepotism and favoritism within the government? 30 seconds.
That seems to be a big problem with our tribe. I have not seen one tribal chairperson stand on being free from favoring their own families. Jobs have been established, and this is one of my pet peeves that I've always brought up, because you can't have a balance in the government when these games are being played. That's where we see the unbalance of people getting into positions that don't have an inkling of what that job requires. Thank you.
Mr. Hewitt, how would you answer that question?
Ready?
Yep.
Can you restate the question one more time?
Yes. How would you deal with nepotism and favoritism within the tribal government?
Nepotism's hard. We're all related. It's a small tribe. I don't know how you're going to get rid of that. I can't tell you who you can date and who you can't date, and I'm not going to do that. But favoritism, definitely, it's a problem when it becomes a problem. Because we're a small tribe, we do see it. I've seen it. I've experienced it. But that's anywhere. You got to regulate it with your human resources department. You got to work with them because they're the ones that make the policies and the employee handbook. If you see a problem, you're going to have to bring it to the tribal council and say, we do have a problem with maybe a certain area, department, wherever it's affecting, and work with your human resources to do it. But it's going to be really tough because we're very small.
Yes, nepotism and favoritism happens with our nation here. The way I would deal with it is that if an individual, if a relative of mine were to apply for a job and is qualified for the job, and outdid the rest of the candidates that were interviewed for the job, I don't see anything wrong giving that person the job, you know. But if that person doesn't qualify or for a job and is given the job because of it was let's say a nephew of mine, then that's totally wrong.
Okay, thank you. Please pass the mic. We're going to have to untangle them all at the end of this.
Nepotism and
Favoritism.
favoritism. Two good words. Don't do it. Ask your relative to not apply for the job. Ask your favorite person not to apply for the job. Do we do that as leaders? We don't. We let things happen, and we let them apply. We're not keeping them from any job. Apply. It's work. Prove yourself in that work, whether you are related or not. That's what we want.
Pass it down.
First of all, if it has to do with your family member, you should stay out of it. I know personnel goes through HR, but when there's decisions to be made, when you're close family, immediate family, you need to stay out of it instead of thinking you matter, what you say matters, because the people are going to be upset.
So in the Yavapai-Apache Nation handbook, there is a claim on regards to immediate family, and that is supposed to take away nepotism. And of course, your vice is your second person in command. If you're not able to make those decisions, and based on if they're related to you or not, the vice takes into that role as the chair. So those are the things that you try to avoid in regards to nepotism. Favoritism, I've had managed Distant Drums RV Resort, and each individual you have to manage different. Some people like to, so it's just a different way of management. So no, I don't have favoritism. I manage each individual differently.
Thank you. Mr. Beauty?
That was a minute. So when I was a chairman before, I would always refer stuff that I felt uncomfortable with to my vice. You're right. I would sign documents that immediate family, if they were getting hired, I wouldn't sign those documents. And favoritism, I don't like to do that because it is in conflict with my own ethics. So I don't favor people or friends or family.
Thank you. And Ms. Dotsie?
We have a Title IV, the Code of Ethics for elected officials that we are mandated to abide by. So when we do our oath, we pledge that we're going to follow the Constitution and all of the ordinances that go along with that. And even if it's a perceived bias, what I would do as a chairperson is I would delegate that to the vice chair. Delegate it to other people that will make the right decision, because there should be no favoritism or nepotism within the tribal government. The citizens demand an accountable government. So that's what I would do. Thank you.
Okay, while you have the mic, and I'm just trying to keep it easy since the mic is kind of hard to pass. But let's start with you for the next question. What is your plan for leading the council and our community?
effective leader, you have to respect every person that you're working with. You have to have a strategic plan. What is the plan going to be for the government? And the way that I would do that is to work hand in hand with the individuals. You have elected us to be your leaders. In order to make the best decisions on your behalf, we have to work with compassion, we have to follow the rules, and that's what I would do as your elected leader. Thank you.
The question is, what is your plan for leading the council and our community?
So my plan would be is to have the council work together. I think sometimes we kind of have our own little cliques and we think one certain way and these guys think one certain way. I think there needs to be a common ground where we can get together and make things happen, move the nation forward. We can sit around all day long and argue with one another, but that doesn't get us anywhere. So I think that my plan would be to get in and help the tribal council find that place, that happy medium where we could start to move forward.
Communication is the number one key in regards to communicating with your community as well as your tribal council. One of the things I mentioned prior is our legislation does visit all these different areas for conferences. You would use the executive director, executive assistant to allocate those plans, those budgeting, grants, and you would system that into the department. Those are my goals in regards to communication with the nation, but also our public relations department. The nation's not equipped in regards to Facebook, and that's what our community is into. They need information first. You know, I'm a marketing major, so I know about communication. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
First of all, for our council to be effective, if I'm voted as your chairwoman, I would like to establish a rapport with each one where we all work together, and if somebody has a negative or doesn't want to agree, then to talk about it. Next, I plan to reorganize within our tribe, and I mean using tribal members with degrees, elders, veterans, and cultural people to help make these decisions.
Thank you. Mr. Quayle?
Repeat the question?
Yes. What is your plan for leading the council and our community?
I would unite the council. I'd like to know where each councilman is coming from. What is our leading problem? We need to deal with solutions. We need to deal with the problems that we have and come out with good guidance so that I, as a chairman, can implement something for our people, for our program, for our tribe, for our nation. That's what I need, is to find solutions, have the solution for these problems that we have. We can do better than what others can.
Thank you, Mr. Hood. And we're going to go all the way down, so I would invite the vice chairs to be thinking about this as well. Okay? What is your plan for leading the council and our community?
If elected, I would want to develop a council that is communicating with each other. And the only way you can do this is get their respect, win their respect, and hopefully you gain their respect. And that's the only way I think you can accomplish anything by working with having respect of each other and dealing with the day-to-day issues. And hopefully one of these days we'll have one united council.
Thank you, Mr. Ewing.
If elected as chairman, I'd like to unify the tribal council with establishing first goals of the tribal council, 3-year, 5-year, and 10-year plans, and make sure that they stay in place for consistency. And then provide a good structure for a lot of the meetings. A lot of the meetings, I understand, get a little crazy. I would like to see, less, argument with the council. Maybe if a more unified plan and agreed goals and objectives were made with the tribal council, then it wouldn't be so diverse. Structure with our community means would be, for those reasons. And making decisions just because a lot of people come in and yell at you, I don't think is in the best favor of all the tribal members of the Yavapai-Apache Nation. I think it might favor some of those in the room at that time, but I don't think it, favors everybody. So 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan, that can be made available to the people as well.
Great, thank you, Ms. Pavateo.
It begins with good leadership right from the chair's seat, and that's having professionalism and respect for one another. Primarily, the chairperson's responsibility is making sure that the meeting is run proper, keeping out animosity, keeping out anger, taking control of those individuals that can't have control of themselves. This is what good leadership within the chairperson's seat belongs. And, you can just judge by an individual in their own personal life and how they handle things. Thank you.
Great, Mr. Jackson?
I think as vice chairman, I would have a threefold aim that I would want to do. First of all, I would like to work with the chairman. The chairman is the people's choice, and I would have to be their backup. I would have to work with them and support their ideals. I would also be in charge of the administration, supporting and working with all the different departments and all the tribal members that are working with them. I would have to be given their direction, their how they should be handling their departments, and encouraging them and correcting them and working with them. If they fail, it's my fault. And I'd also like to have my own pet projects, like selling our shares at Drake Cement. We could make $13 million, and having a land exchange with all the land we have. And there's so many things I'd like to do. Thank you.
Ms. Lewis?
My plan to lead with the council is 3 words. We will collaborate, we will communicate, and we will engage together as a whole and work things through. There have been councils before us that sat when we had nothing, and that is the 3 things they did to bring us where we are today, and we need to learn to respect that. And for our community, I've come across many quotes, and I want to share one in particular. Some of those who are on Facebook probably also saw this as well. Leadership isn't about advancing yourself. Leadership is about advancing our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marquez?
If elected vice chair, I like to work as a team, because working as a team, you agree to disagree to get things done. You're not there to target one another, and you want to feel good within the community and your rapport, and not have them feel less than, but having them feel more ought to come in and talk to you in a professional manner. With that, and going along with being out there and showing that you care for the people, because ultimately that's who you work for. You work for the people, and my goal is to reach your goal. And we need to figure out why in different areas. Why didn't this work out? Then revisit it, then move forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shirley.
My plan, I guess, to lead the council and the community is to work, not only with the chair, but also with council members, to have a common goal and a purpose. Why are we here running for these seats? It's not for our own personal gain, it's not for my own personal gain, but it's for the people. At the end of the day, it's the people that make the difference and the people that make this nation go forward. So by my plan to lead is to not only work with the council to build for our future, but it's to have that common purpose and goal, because if we don't have that and we continue to be at fighting with each other, we are never going to lead us into the next generation. But also lead by example. We cannot ask our people to go get jobs. We cannot ask our people to go and learn the culture and the language if we are not taking those steps to lead by example.
Okay, thank you. I think what we'll do now, because we have more questions than we would ever have time for in the allotted amount of time, is to do another round of quick questions, 1 question each.
have an understanding of how the government runs. Leadership, we had someone talk about leadership qualities. I mean, we're here to serve the people and bring it forward, but also you can elect a bad leader, and you can also elect a good leader. And that's when those effects come into place, is good leadership.
Thank you. Mr. Beauty, do you feel the casino is being underutilized? And if so, how to better utilize it?
Yeah, I think the casino is being underutilized. I think there's a lot of things that can be changed over there in regards to tribal employment, in regards to how the marketing is ran, how we, customer service, I guess. Customer service is one of the things that will keep somebody coming back. So I think those are some of the things that we can utilize. The training program over at the casino needs to be instilled in this group.
Okay. And Ms. Dotsey, how are tribal members able to contact you? Voicemail, email, text, and how quickly should they expect a response?
Tribal members have access to my personal cell phone, my home number, my work cell number. It's also listed on the telephone directory. It's posted on the website, and easy access, and I usually call within a day. So if somebody calls me today, we'll get a call this afternoon.
Okay,
Quick
thank
turnaround.
you. Where is the microphone here? Ms. Shirley? Okay. Describe how executive sessions are part of the tribal council and how they're used, and how will you be more open to decisions made within those meetings?
From my understanding, I'm coming at this as just a regular tribal member and citizen. I haven't served on council before. But from my understanding, the executive sessions are used to discuss things that are confidential, that deal with personnel issues, or personnel in regard to program directors. I think that when it comes to making decisions for the benefit of the people, whatever those decisions that are made, whether it's in regard to financial decisions, in regard to or economic development programs for our youth, for our elders, whatever is discussed that's for our benefit should be open to the people. I think in regard to personnel issues, things like that do need to stay confidential. There are certain matters that need to be decided on, and some people don't like their business being shared. So I think in just going forward, when we talk about executive, if it's for the people and the benefit of the people making decisions, the people need to be involved.
Okay, Mr. Marquez, apparently there's no report to the people on the tribe's finances. How would you change that?
Well, looking from the outside, because I'm not on tribal council, we'll have to see what we're privy to and what's out there as far as confidentiality. Because when companies come in here and they bid for grants, then they'll know what they're bidding for. Then they'll start underbidding, which isn't fair in the business world. But with finances, we can share some of the information, because I believe last year they shared what we're making as far as percentages. It was like a pie chart, which was going where and so forth. They didn't break it down to an incumbents report or an Excel spreadsheet for you, but that's one way to see where we're overspending as a community and letting the community know that this is where we're overspending and this is where we need to stop and start moving things around so we have the best interest of the nation as a whole.
Thank you. Ms. Lewis, what would be your plan to create sustainability within our nation?
To create sustainability for our nation, what we can do is we need to look at where we stand as a tribe financially, be smart about it, be creative about it, and look at what we have right now in front of us. How can we make it better, and what better provides for not just economically, financial-wise, but also benefits our surrounding communities, because they too service at all our businesses, and also for our tribal members. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, when a tribal council member resigns, does the chairperson have the power to allow them to remain seated as a tribal council on the tribal council?
No, they were elected by the people. and they should be replaced by the people. I don't think the chairman has that much authority. He's on the administration. He takes care of the administration. He doesn't take care of the council. The council, when the chairman and the vice chairman, they should be separate from the council. They should have a council, and they should have a speaker of the house that runs the meetings, and the chairman and the vice chairman should come in and make reports to the council. The chairman should not have that much authority.
Thank you, Ms. Papatea. What is your knowledge of the nation's debt? I'm assuming the Yavapai-Apache Nation's debt. And should the nation accumulate debt for economic development?
The last report that I heard, and it was after budgets, and it was just this year that I heard that we were in the red, 1.6 million. And how tribal council is making up for that money without being transparent and giving that information out to the community members, the voters of this nation, I think is a big injustice. And no, I don't think that the tribe should be indulging in any economic development, because we've got to get rid of the debt that we have been incurred by past tribal council members that probably never even thought about where are we at sitting financially, or even 2-3 years down the road.
Okay, Mr. Yui, on a similar topic, do you support large economic projects that would put the Yavapai-Apache Nation into debt?
No, I don't. I've been involved in one already, which was tribal gaming back when I was first on council. One was successful and one was not. Right now, though, I mean, I'm not sitting currently on council, so looking at the finance of the tribe, I wouldn't want to over leverage what we have, unless it makes reasonable sense, if it's a great deal. But those are hard to come by. I would be looking at other ways to increase revenue for the tribe by, other grants, people that want to invest in the tribe that maybe be partners, which reduces our, liability in the program or the project. But no, I wouldn't want to, not this time.
Okay, and Mr. Hood, almost on that same topic, what would be your strategy to improve the financial position of the nation?
Financials, and I don't know all the money and stuff like this, but I know that if we're in debt, we need to pay that debt first. And then once you've paid up the debt, then you need to develop a plan. How are you going to use the extra income for economic development, for houses, for whatever? But so that's it.
Okay, that seems like an important question. So, Mr. Quayle, what would you do to improve the financial position of the nation? And let's run that question down to the end.
What we need to do is, as an economist, we need to look at where we are. We need to do this strategy plan from year to year as to what debt do we get out of this year? What debt do we get out of next year? We need to know. People don't know out there, nor do I. One of the people, I don't know where we are. When will we get out of it? It's a question that we all have. And what do we do with the money once we generate that for our use? We have plans. We want more housing. We want more police. We want things for our recreation department, for our farming, for our needs out there. We need to improve our roads. Much we can do once we know where we are financially.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
First of all, I believe that the council needs to stop spending money on unimportant infrastructures or trying to fix what doesn't need to be fixed yet. The people have a lot to say with that, for the knowledge of that. Also, to utilize grants more would help with this. I'm a firm believer in spending money to make money, so we would only start establishing what we need.
So one of the things we need to start start with is a budget ordinance. The nation doesn't have one. 2018, the tribal council approved a budget ordinance, and not all were there. Not all the 9 members were. And they did it with an emergency meeting, and they approved it within 4 hours that they presented the budget the week prior. These are some of the things that we know that the strategy for the budget needs to be implemented, and I think first is a budget ordinance. We also talked about debt. The thing about if the nation wants to prosper in regards to economic development, that's something we do need to look into. Other tribes have done it. They've done joint ventures, which it consists of lease agreements within a certain period of time, and then the tribe can purchase those lease agreements, so we're not tied by those companies. Infrastructure is one of the most cost-effective or most cost in regards to economic development. But I think first of all is a budget ordinance with the nation needs to start with that. We need to be transparent with our community, and that I think would be great to have it in there.
Thank you. Mr. Beauty? What would be your financial plan to improve the revenues of the nation?
So, the infrastructure that came over from the casino, the pipeline that came all the way to Middle Verde, that was step one in regards to putting businesses over in the casino corridor. There's hundreds of thousands of people go on that road to Montezuma's Castle. So after that infrastructure is done, it can take the capacity and the load. So now what we do is we look for people who want to invest. We look for other people's money to come in and help us to put businesses and things that are going to make money for the tribe. And leasing, whether we do our own business, whether the tribal members do their own business, that's what we do. How do we make more money? We're going to have to be creative. We're going to have to, I would say that's probably our best bet. There's a casino corridor to help us generate revenue.
Thank you. Ms. Dotson?
Yes. We currently have a budget ordinance that was passed by tribal council, so we've got great oversight on how the budget is going to be created. The debt the nation has is in excess of 50 million. It's not 1.7 million, but we are in debt in excess of 50 million. So in order to create more revenue, we need to create a debt reduction plan. And any revenues coming in, they need to be placed in a special fund so we can pay down that debt. So planning, we have reclaimed water that's not being utilized. It's just going into creating a wetland. So lots of work to be done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Shirley, would you support a constitutional change that if you are running for tribal council, you need more than a GED? That you should have more higher education?
Yes, this was actually something that, again, as part of the Constitution Committee, we had put out to the people. And the one thing that I like to emphasize on this is that although I would support something higher than a GED, it doesn't take a higher education degree to be a leader on this council. I think by having certain qualifications like that, it empowers our people to want to do more. For our youth, we're trying to encourage and empower them to one day take these seats that we're trying to run for. And by doing so, we want them to learn more about than what we now offer our nation. We've created a nation and a world for ourselves, but now we need to work on creating a world for our kids. So I think by encouraging our people to get higher education degrees, but I don't think that should just be it. I think there are other qualifications we need to look at as well to be a leader on this nation. So although, yes, I would agree for a higher, something more than a GED, I don't think we should just limit it at that. And that, although that decision is that choice would be my own opinion, it would come back to the people with what they would want to see as qualification for education.
Okay, Mr. Marquez, this is a long one, so stay with me. What would you do to change the overtime policy? For example, in the housing department, subcontracting work to outside employees when the employees of the tribe can do the work for much less, even at overtime rates. But the management of housing often tells council the employees of housing don't meet the qualifications to do the work. Overtime pay would help my children and grandchildren, help me put food on the table. What would you do to have more tribal employees as part of those departments than subcontracting the work out to outsiders?
According to that question, it says the subcontractors are making more than tribal members. But you have to be qualified in certain areas. That doesn't mean you can't have the subcontractor teaching the tribal members to get certified in those certain areas to make sure that we're being appropriate with the codes and regulations when building a house and being financially stable and letting them know that they can work overtime when there's a need to work overtime, because there's always things going on the weekend, things happening at night, because it never happens 8 to 5. Your water leaks, your water breaks, your power goes out, and they have to put a new transformer in for your electricity. And yes, you do want to be certified, and that doesn't mean we can't be certified. We just have to be trained by certain people to come in like they've been doing with that workforce when they came to housing, having the kids there, the tribal members there, learning, getting certificates in different areas, and one of them was housing. And that's what we need to implement in different departments, if need be, is having to make sure everyone there takes classes to get certified in different areas that they'll like to, so they can go out and make that overtime money and not have to subcontract out. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Lewis, why is the casino not hiring tribal members? I know we heard before that many weren't applying, but assuming that they are, this individual indicates that they put in an application and didn't even get an interview, but a non-tribal person was hired. So how does one handle that when it occurs?
And that read to speaking to the casino
Yes.
specifically?
Yes.
With the casino, it's interesting that we bring this up. I spoke with one of the employees there recently with a similar situation. And with that approach, because also the casino, through their human resources, who does the recruitment, they have policies in place. And there's also, however, if you meet the minimum requirements that are specified on there, you are afforded an interview, regardless. So to me, that is obviously a policy that is not being followed. And with that, human resources needs to enforce these policies, because they too are the policy enforcers, which doesn't make any sense. However, this, as sitting as the vice chairperson, I can bring to the attention to the chairman, who at points, because they do have work sessions, bring to the attention as the body as a whole to say, these things are not being followed. There are policies in place and they're not being followed. Let's work on this to address this with the general manager. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we covered pretty much all of the questions that were submitted. I hope you heard your questions asked, and I hope it gave you a good idea of the positions of all of our candidates. We're going to now do the wrap-up, so you will each have 1 minute to address your voters and to ask for their vote and tell them why you are the best candidate, or whatever message you would like to leave with them today. All right? And so why don't we start with, we started at this end when we began, so we'll start at the far end with Ms. Shirley.
Let's start with Larry. Pick up the million microphone.
Oh, Chair.
Passing it back. Go ahead, Peter.
Grant.
Okay.
Good morning again. My name is Afia Shirley, and I am running for the seat of vice chair. There are a lot of issues that I know our nation faces, and as your vice chair, I may not have the qualifications to tackle every single one of them. I have taken my time as just a tribal citizen, as a tribal member, to reach out to our people, even before taking this seat, because even then, I had no desire to run for council, but like some of our candidates here, there is something inside of me, inside of all of us, that says to go and take that chance. I think that our council needs leadership. Our people need leadership. We need people that are within the community, people that are from the community, people that are of the community. I think there are a lot of issues that need to be addressed: culture, economic stability, workforce development for our people, so they can be empowered and have the confidence to move forward, to work for our nation, and to build a greater nation for our kids. I think one of the main things I would like to address is how we intend to move forward in the future. And like I had mentioned before, the only way we can do that is to address that now. One day it's going to be too late. So we need to start addressing what we want to do for the future of our nation.
Thank you, Mr. Marquez.
I am humbled and honored to be a candidate for the vice chairperson position, and I applaud everyone that put in their application, because it takes a lot of courage to do it. And we need to start getting away from mainstream society, where we bash each other on social media, where a blacklist comes out at night. We need to stop all that stuff, because it's pushing us farther away from helping one another and seeing who we can trust and who we can't. We need to come together and be stronger and more powerful than what we are today, because we are strong Yavapai-Apache Nation members that are here roaming and outside the world also. I bring a lot of core values to the table while serving in the military and various different areas. I bring leadership, honesty, integrity, accountability, and I look forward to facing all the tough challenges that lies ahead for the vice chairperson. And with an open mind and being out still with the community, because I am, and my family's out with the community, not only on a personal level, but also on a traditional level. We welcome everyone all the time, and I know certain families do too, and that's what we need to keep going. Do it in a nice, humble way. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Lewis?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming this morning. I just wanted to share as well that I was born and raised in Clarkdale. I resided in the Middle Purdy Reservation, and I currently reside here in the Toonley community. I am currently working as the executive assistant for the Yavapai-Apache Nation, which I work directly for the chair and the vice chair for the nation. I've worked under 2 administrations. Prior to that, I was a tribal council member for 3 years. So I've been within the tribal government for several years in this capacity. Also, I come with knowledge and experience working with the challenges we face today. I also have developed in all types of capacity, personal and professional, where I have learned and developed relationships with our local, city, state representatives, towns, mayors, and also at the legislative level in DC. I have developed knowledge and experience through our local Arizona tribal leaders as well as national leaders. So it's been an honor to serve in many capacities and know a lot of people and get to know the different challenges and be able to create and bounce ideas off as well. I also look forward to the opportunity to work hand in hand with the vice chairperson who is elected. I believe when you have a strong executive department, we can work together even stronger as a council body as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Please hold your applause to the end, and we'll give them all a rousing cheer. Okay, Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'm just so anxious to start as the vice chairman again, and I was vice chairman before, and when people would come into my office, they always got help. I don't want to sit in my office and say, go here and go there. There were times when I had to take out my own wallet and help people because that's what they needed. That's why I ran for council. That's why I ran for vice chairman, to help people, to not to better myself, but to work with people. That's why we run for council, to help our people. And I have so many ideas that I'm not afraid to go in front of council and say, this is what I'd like to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is the budget, now let's get it done. All I need is your approval. And I would do that with the land we own. I know Ann Kirkpatrick, I've worked with her many times, and she's in the Congress, and she needs to introduce a bill to Congress that says they want to trade this land right next to the reservation so that we can build more houses, so that we could start more businesses. I'm willing to do that. I'll do it. I'm also willing to, we tried to sell our shares in Drake Cement that would have given us $13 million. And I went down to investors in Phoenix, and they said, this isn't the right time. We're just recovering from a recession. But now's the right time. If we want to sell our shares from Drake Cement that isn't doing anything, let's do it now. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to back up who's ever elected chairman. We can't go in two different directions. I need to present my ideas and see the ideas of the council and everybody, and we can bring ourselves together. We can do it as a nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Papatea.
First of all, you've got to walk your talk. And it's being an active community member first, being out there, getting to know the people, and bringing things about that brings change for the betterment of the nation. Not only for our communities, but also for the tribal members out there of knowing more about our procedures and what they're entitled to. But you have to really be an advocate on the people's behalf. You have to be sincere. You have to be trustworthy, and that they know they can trust and confide in you and know that you're going to bring it about. I've been put in that situation many times, and I've gotten a lot of backflack as it is. But you know what? I've always kept to my word. And representing you as the next vice chair, there's going to be an open door policy. There's not going to be a shut door policy anymore. There's going to be openness on information. There's not going to be any kind of cover up or anything until, you know, you see your per capita dwindling and dwindling and you don't know why. We all suspect, but you know, it takes working together with the community, with the council, and being that example of what true leadership is. And you know, the older you get, you gain the wisdom.
Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Crime reduction, Violence Against Women Act, technology advancements, culture advancements, and economic development are things that if I'm elected as your chairman, I will definitely push hard to focus on those key areas for the Yavapai-Apache Nation. Provide stability, continuity, being the head of as the chairman, being head of the administration, trusting my directors, not micromanaging, but supporting their ideas and how they run their departments, while in the same time having fun doing it. We don't have fun anymore. We're so serious, so personal, so political. If you know me, I joke a lot. And I do that because you should. You should laugh. Life's not so serious. You shouldn't be able to have fun with your people. You're all my people. And I've done, for this last 17 years, done nothing but provide the best service as a law enforcement officer to each and every one of you. And I'll continue to do that as chairman. So please, vote for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Hood.
Earlier I talked about my qualifications and my education, and I based mine, the reason why I'm running is because of these two items. I was a past chairman, I was a tribal member, a council member, I worked in different boards, I was employed by the nation, I was employed by a copper mine company, and I do have a degree in accountancy. And I think it just more qualifies me for the seat in the chairperson's office. But there's a number of things that got me going. Is the last 21 years. I moved back in '98, and every chairman that I've seen in office had their personal agenda. They wanted to do this, they wanted to do that. Put us in debt for all these years. Put a new hotel. Put us in debt again. They disrespected the elders. They just a bunch of stuff. They have no control of the council meetings. They just let the council members do whatever they want to do and let them argue and never accomplish anything that's pertaining to our nation. You know, a lot of this stuff needs to stop. You know, better than that. And one thing I wanted to say too is that in 2003, the tax credit policy was brought before the council, and I was on the council at that time. And after their discussion, I voted against it. I voted against it because I knew what impact it would have on our tribal members.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hood. We have to move on to Mr. Quayle. We have 1 minute, okay?
It was upside down.
Gotta wait it.
It said to keep going. Oh, sorry. Oh, my people, ne wipukapa. You're my people. And I want your vote. I need your vote. I hope I didn't rally you up too much about jobs, about working, about things. That's what I want to do in tribal council. I want to rile them up again. I did that before. That's why we got the land we got. That's why you're here in Tunui. I got the land. I was so fortunate that I had council behind me that were for me. We had buildings built just here and there all over the place. I had a good committee. I can put good committees together because I had the best at my time. At one of my times as your chair. And they built all this stuff, not necessarily I. I just happened to be your good leader at the time. I still want to be your good leader. You've done so much. I don't want to keep bragging about what was done because I did a lot. And to me it's bragging. It just thinks I'm this and that and all that. I did a lot, but I don't want to brag to you today. I don't need to do that. I want to be your chairman again. I want your votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson?
Thank you. Running for chairwoman, my main concern is the people. To have an open door policy so that people can speak their minds without being in fear of retaliation, to stay unbiased, to reorganize within using our tribal members with degrees, our elders, cultural people, and veterans, because everything that's brought up to my left and my right will be touched on, and together we could work on it. To listen to the council members on matters that are important and giving the green light instead of tabling them. Working with all departments on a weekly basis as well as the casino for communication instead of waiting for an issue to arise and then calling them in. I think that this communication is very well needed. It's going to take all of us as members to make the difference for our livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hood.
So I asked the vice for advice, and he said go in with a good heart. And that's what I'm campaigning for, is going in with a good heart. We're a good nation, but we can be grand. We have holiday bonus, per capita, transfer agreements, meaning that our casino is very profitable. One of the things that I plan on doing, as I mentioned before, is build in within the nation. We have great departments. We just need to utilize the legislation as well as of our community's concerns. One of the things is the census. We can do an indigenous census, knowing what our community needs and what are their wants, and we distribute it to the budget. There's so many great ideas that we can come across with other nations, benchmark them, and implement it into this tribe. Thank you, but I'll always vote good too.
Thank you. Mr. Beauty?
I meant to put
So my campaign slogan is from the people, for the people. I'm a lifelong community member of this tribe and Middle Verde. I know the heartbeat know your relatives. I know who you're related to. Some of you, I know your grandparents and that. You have to know your people in order to govern them. You have to. You're going to be making decisions for them. That's going to affect the families for generations. We talk about debt. You have to spend money to make money. You have to move in a way that's going to help your people. I deliver results. You're sitting in it right now. I built this community with my administration. Lorna Hazelwood was on there. Other people. You have to work together. That's the thing. You have to work together. You cannot sit and be opposed to things that you can't be opposed to progress. And that's what I'll deliver. Progress. And try my best to heal the people that are out there that are still suffering.
Thank you. Ms. Dotsie?
Again, my name is Genevieve Melinda Datsey, and tribal member first. The power lies within all of you. I will continue to serve all citizens by maintaining a thorough knowledge of the Constitution of the Yavapai-Apache Nation, resolutions and ordinances that govern the duties of the chairperson, vice chairperson, and the council. With my legal knowledge and skills, I will continue to assist with drafting and editing policies, ordinances, and resolutions. A few of the highlights of my advocacy resulted in the passage of the donation policy, a resolution designating for 2019 the $1,000 Christmas bonus for adult citizens, a resolution segregating the Santa Isabel RSTF funds. As a strong and vocal leader, I will continue to serve all citizens and advocate on your behalf with the Tribal Council to create positive change for all citizens. My passion of my Yavapai-Apache culture and advocacy for self-determination, preservation of our tribal sovereignty, cultural revitalization, and self-sufficiency will continue. We can and will do this together. There is more work to be done that can only be accomplished by working together as a sovereign nation. I humbly ask for your support in voting for me as your next chairperson of the Yavapai-Apache Nation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's give a round of applause to all of our I would like to thank the candidates for your participation in the forum, and I'd like to thank you, our audience, for your attention and your participation. Remember that Election Day is August 3rd for the primary and September 21 for the general election. The voting is from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Be sure to encourage everyone to vote. Voting is equal power. I would also, on behalf of the League of Women Voters, encourage you to be sure you are registered to vote in local, state, and national elections. Heaven knows